Let's first look at the automatic storage class. All the variables that you have used until now, they belong to automatic storage class. So for example, let's say you had the declaration int a equals to 1. A is an automatic variable, so the default is auto. So this is basically the same as auto int a equals to 1. So you have until now you have neglected the auto keyword, but kind of by it's kind of default. So it gets translated to this one here. So what are the features of automatic storage class? Or more predominantly, what does an automatic storage class tell us about where it is stored in memory? What is the default initial value? What is the scope? And what is the life? So for an automatic variable, it is stored in your RAM, because these are the most common types of variables that are used in your code, and there are quite a lot of them. So we store it in a RAM. The default initial value would be garbage value. So default initial value is garbage. So what I mean by that is, let's say you have the declaration main int a. So you have declared the variable a, but you haven't initialized it with any value. In this case, you initialized it with 1, but in this case, you haven't initialized it. So it's going to contain a garbage value, and that garbage value is unpredictable. 3. What is the scope? If you see here, a is local to main. You cannot use a in any other function, or more particularly, you cannot use this a in any other function. So if you had a function, let's say func int k. So let's take this program here. So in this program, you have two automatic variables, a and k. A is local to main and k is local to function. So you cannot use k in main and you cannot use a in func. So scope is local to the function where it is declared. Fourth is the life. Remember, a is local to main, so a is killed only when main terminates. And similarly, k is local to function and k is killed only after we have done executing the function. So life is killed when the function terminates, or killed when the function in which it is declared terminates. So that's the automatic storage class. Next, let's look at the register storage class. There's one thing that you need to remember. Auto is the first keyword in C. Now for the register storage class, the declaration is as follows: main register int a equals to 1. So register here is the keyword. Now the difference between an automatic variable and a register variable is that the automatic variable is stored in your RAM and your register variable is stored in your CPU or cache. As I have said before, CPU memory is limited compared to your RAM, so a variable that is stored in your cache can be accessed very fast. Typically, loop counters are accessed number of times in your program. So you would want to access, or you would want to put your loop counters as register variables. Typically, your cache memory is very limited and your operating system uses it most of the time. So if in case the register memory is full, or the CPU is full, or the cache is full, then it's automatically going to get stored in the RAM. So a register, if there is no space, goes to the RAM and it becomes an automatic variable. And the remaining functionality is the same. That is, the default initial value equals the garbage value, And scope is same as your automatic, and it is also killed in the same way as an automatic variable is killed. So not much of a difference there. The only difference is where it is stored. Next, you have external storage class. So external storage class is also known as global. So when we are dealing with global variables, that is when we are dealing with external storage classes. So let's look at what a global variable is. So initially you would write pound include stdio.h, and this is where you declare global variable int a equals to 1. So when you declare a variable as global, all the functions in the program can access that variable. So let's say you have main, you can print the value of a, even though a is not declared in your main function, a is global. So you can access the value of a here. Similarly, if there are any functions underneath main, even those functions can access the value of a. In fact, I can also modify the value of a. So when you make a modification of a global variable, that is going to get impacted everywhere in your program. So when you do a plus 1, 1 gets overwritten with 2. And this 2 will be next used whenever a is used. So let's look at the key features of a global variable. The first one is it is stored in your RAM. The second is the default initial value. It's not garbage value, it is 0. So if you declare a global variable and you do not initialize it, it's going to contain a 0. 3. Scope. Automatic variables and register variables, they are local to the function in which they are declared, but a global variable can be accessed by all the functions in the program. So the scope is global, and that is why they are actually called global variables. And fourth is the life. Automatic and register variables, they are only killed once the function in which they are declared is terminated. But a global variable, since it is accessible by all the functions in the program, it is only terminated once the main function is terminated. So once main function terminates, that is when it is killed. So these are the differences between automatic, register, and external storage classes. Let's look at static storage class a little bit in more detail.